Lacrosse goalies can often be described as one of a kind. Well, our next inductee is certainly in a class of his own, establishing the benchmark that 40 years of bullet netminders would try to achieve after his graduation. And as of yet, none have been able to eclipse him in the record books. So let's hear more about what Garrick Robinson has claimed this spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Garrick Robinson stood tall all 4 years of his Gettysburg tenure as the backstop of the men's lacrosse defense, minding the cage. Robinson still stands as the program leader in saves in a game, season, and career, solidifying his place on the Gettysburg record board and in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
First of all, skills and desire to play, competitive, wanted to be good, and also wanted the people that were playing around him to be good. I think he enjoyed himself in the college environment, but when it came to playing, he didn't like to fool around. When the whistle blew, he was all across, and he did a heck of a job. And I think he helped the defensemen that were around him, obviously, and I think they helped him in many ways too.
Robinson began his record-setting ways his freshman year, appearing in 13 games and recording 285 saves, setting the program record for the most saves in a season. He made 20 or more saves in 9 different games, including 31 saves against Western Maryland. His sophomore season, he again had a strong year with 150 saves and a 56.8 save percentage. He made double-figure saves in 9 games, including a season-best 21 against Bucknell to backstop the defense.
He was always trying to help them, talking. And not only just where's the ball and all that kind of stuff, but hey, they're doing this. They're isolating our right side. So look over to the left, be careful, be conscious of this type of thing. And then he was good and quick in the cage.
During Robinson's junior year, his save percentage reached 67.7%, and he set the program record for saves in a game with 33 against Franklin and Marshall. Of the 9 games in which he appeared, he made double-digit saves in 8 of them. Robinson's career culminated in a Middle Atlantic Conference championship his senior year and an All-MAC second-team recognition. That year, he helped the team to an 11-5 overall record, which set a school record for victories in a season. He set a personal best in goals against average with 6.62 and made 10 or more saves in 12 games, including 4 games with 20 or more saves. In the MAC, he tallied the second-best save percentage in the league at 77.3%.
You could pick out people that needed to have defensive attention on a team even before the game. You do a scouting report and you go over a report. But Gary, I think, had a little conversation with his defensive people before or after I did, however you want to put it, just to make sure that they knew what was going on, and he was right. Lots of times, he was good in that way. And it ran off to the midfielders too, like in clearing the ball. He was aware of what was going on in the clears, and he would easily give direction or communicate with the other players, to try to make it an easier clear or easier for them to recognize what was going on.
After graduating from Gettysburg, Robinson earned his master's in sports administration from St. Thomas University in 1986. Over the past 30 years, Robinson has served in many roles, including athletic director, teacher, and lacrosse coach. Currently, Robinson is the owner of Orlando Lacrosse Company and Robinson Cruise and Travel. He has been the head boys lacrosse coach at Lake Mary since 2012, leading the team to state championship victories in 2023 and 2024. He and his wife, Amy, live in Lake Mary, Florida, and have 2 sons, Owen and Jack.
I think he deserves it because he earned it here when he was here playing, and he's shown that he has certain values and good judgment and intelligence to promote it and raise it at other places. And I think the lacrosse family will appreciate him also, as well as the Gettysburg College family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Robinson.
Yes, Joe, I did have a good time at Gettysburg College. Just to illustrate, I think the great thing is we've got folks from my generation in the 80s, with Carol and myself, and all the way up into the 2000s. Of course, big difference. Tedra came up here with her notes on a phone. My notes are actually on a dry cleaning cardboard, so bear with me as we go here. We flew up here. I had to adapt. First of all, a lot of thank yous. First of all, Chris Bemke, who I believe is responsible for nominating me for this honor, so thank you, Chris. Bill Pyron, who relentlessly tried to track me down to actually get me to answer the phone, to know that this honor was in place. Obviously, Luke Stilson and the Orange and Blue Club for all the hard work. You can tell I organize events, and they've been working hard at this for months now, so I appreciate that effort. My family has been put in a role where they have had to follow me around the country for business and coaching events, and they've made great sacrifices. So a quick shout out to my son Owen, my son Jack, and my lovely wife Amy, who actually is a Bryn Mawr graduate, who I met in Coral Gables, Florida, and I don't honestly think she ever would have paid me attention to me until she found out I went to Gettysburg, and she said, okay, this guy went to a good school, he might have half a brain. So I love you all, because here you are again for another lacrosse event, and of course we flew up from Orlando. My teammates, I'm so thrilled and actually shocked at so many people showed up tonight. Quickly, the ones I didn't expect, Kurt Snyder and Jamie Conway and Brian Bowersox. I did not expect them to be here, and just absolutely thrilled that you guys made it. And then I have Rich Fitzgerald, who was my college roommate, Chris Bemke, of course, Nick Kelly, and Paul Bowersox from Westminster, as I am too, all for you being here. They're all special people. I'm very proud of them. They're all very successful in what they've done in life, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then too, I'm truly honored. I've met a few of the inductees tonight, just casual chatting, and just so impressed with you and honored to be inducted with you. Carol, I've been aware of. I don't think I really knew Carol when we were at school, but I've been following her career closely because obviously I've been coaching myself too, and was always keenly aware of her success. So I'm pretty tickled to be inducted with her. So 2 things I want to talk about. We have 5 minutes, right? Or less? Good luck. First of all, how Gettysburg affected, the things that have happened in my life and the success I've had in my life, and the legacy I think has been left via Gettysburg, via me, to the countless people I've coached throughout the decades. So it all starts with Coach Joe Denali. When I first arrived at Gettysburg, we had fall ball practice. It was over there. I can't remember the name of the new facilities we built a couple years ago, but it was just an open field, and that's where fall ball practice started. And so I was a freshman from Westminster, Maryland, came out of a pretty good program, and Joe came up to me the first fall ball practice, and he said, look, I don't know much about playing goalie, but I got this great book. Now, where do you go from there? The good thing is I'm a very independent person, very independent, and I probably didn't want or need any coaching in my own mind at that time. But this is what happened. As I reflect back on my career at Gettysburg and the experience I went through and what Joe Denoli did, it is amazing and it affected me so much. And so here's the story. Joe did not have that lacrosse pedigree. He did not have the big name. He didn't have, he wasn't written up in Inside Lacrosse magazine, et cetera. But he had this quiet determination that he was going to make Gettysburg College a lacrosse power. And he didn't care what anyone else said about it or what they thought about it. He was just going to get it done. And he just rolled up his sleeves. And I can't tell you how many times in my career I look back to how Joe approached this thing and I applied it to myself. It's 100% acutely tied in, and it's the God's honest truth. So Joe would do things like schedule incredibly hard teams. Okay, we would play Patriot League's teams, Bucknell, Lafayette, Drexel. We would play teams at that time. The Division I, Division II world was kind of gray and crossed over, but we would play Towson, Loyola, Mount St. Mary's. For a Division III school, these were tough games. And Joe didn't care. He just wanted to make us better, and he would throw us out there. He was also one heck of a recruiter. We had amazing kids from amazing high school programs across the country come to this school. And again, you don't realize it maybe as a kid, as you're going through the process, but I look back at it now as a high school coach who has kids recruited. And what Joe did to get people to Gettysburg here, at that time when Gettysburg was not a lacrosse power, to get them to come here was pretty amazing. But it's Joe's determination and ability to say, I'm going to get something done, and I don't care what anyone else thinks, has applied to this story, which I would like to say, what would Coach Denoli do? Well, here's the first example. I get out of Gettysburg. I'm interested in the sports administration field, wanted to work in Division I athletics. Western Maryland College at that time, which is now McDaniel College, they had a sports administration graduate program, so I started taking classes there when I was an assistant coach of the program, and the director there said, look, there's only 3 programs in the country this time who are really going after this. And one's in Massachusetts, one's Ohio, and one's this tiny school in Miami, Florida called St. Thomas University. Well, I looked at it, et cetera, and if I'm Coach Denoli, I said, what would Coach Joe Denoli do? And he would say, you go to the place where things are happening, you go to Miami. And I took that risk. I didn't know a soul, not a person. This was Miami during the 1980s. If you have any historical context, Miami was a crazy place in the 1980s. But I ended up going there. I got a graduate assistantship, and things started to work out. And to make a long story short, my plan was to play in division or be an administrator in D1 athletics. And then I heard through a local club team I was playing with, some little tiny private school, wanted to start a lacrosse program. The headmaster was from Massachusetts. His kid wanted to play lacrosse. They didn't have a program. I went in and talked to him. I'm 26 years old. I walked out the door. I'm athletic director. They're going to start a football program. I'm going to start a lacrosse program, and I'm teaching like 8 classes. Got paid $18,250, and I couldn't have been happier. And off I went. So, Auburn had success there. I won a state championship. And then the morning after I won the state championship, I got a phone call from someone, a father of a kid I coach, and said, look, I got this opportunity to go start up a special school in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. So, but again, it kind of going back to, Joe, and Joe would be like, he was irreverent in the sense of like, no, you got to just do what you got to do. Don't worry about what other people say. So, make a long story short, I ended up in Saudi Arabia for 2 years. I come back, I get back into the private school world, and then the opportunity to work at a very prestigious private school as the AD. They hired me as a football coach. I didn't know anything about football. Okay, Ryan would have been a much better candidate for him than me. Again, my theme here, my premise is that Joe just didn't care what other people thought. He was just going to try his best and the darndest to do things. And I went from really not being I played high school football, but I never coached it. So I went from that situation and I applied myself, and it worked out pretty well because I didn't listen to the noise, and I just went for it. So back to the point here, thank you, Joe, because I think you gave me the backbone and the example, of starting from a day where I don't know anything about your position, but here's a book to seeing how hard you worked and how you just were determined to organize and people towards a common goal. And of course, that resulted in that MAC championship in our senior year. Legacy. So, as I've alluded to, I'm from Westminster, Maryland. My experience here at Gettysburg is much more than lacrosse. I came to Gettysburg, I think pretty much kind of an introverted kid. And lo and behold, I'm thrown into the fire here with a bunch of people from Long Island. We're very proud. Long Island people are pretty proud, agreed? I mean, we'd argue about everything. Who had better telephone poles, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, but it really forced me into situations. And the next thing you know, at Gettysburg, I had to interact, even though I grew up about 35 minutes from here. I was interacting with people from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all parts of New York, Pennsylvania, et cetera, et cetera. And that experience made me grow as a person. And I'm very grateful to that. Like, again, I only had to drive 30 minutes to be here, but I felt like I went, halfway across the globe to become the person that I am today. So legacy. So I have that, getting out of the comfort zone world that I preach heavily to all the people that I coach today. And then I think about, two particular professors, not being professors. One was a coach who was not a lacrosse coach, and one was a professor. And there was one particular coach, I won't name his name, I don't know if he was here too long, but he was a football coach, but he was also doing a swimming PE class, and Chris Bemke took that class. And I can tell you right now, I've been never more fearful of a man in my life. It was a swimming class, and that guy treated it like we were preparing for the Super Bowl every day, and it was tough. It was physically tough. And I look back at it, though, and I say to myself, you know what, I'd like to play for that guy. If I look back at it and everything I've gone through as a coach. And so there's this isolated individual here at the Berg, but it greatly influenced me. The other one is Robert Fredrickson, Dr. Robert Fredrickson. He was an English teacher, a literature teacher. And we couldn't have been more polar opposite. He was, kind of a hippie type dude. I was probably more of a, straight line, old school athlete type dude. But the number one thing I always felt good about Gettysburg is I felt like I really knew how to write, and the ability to write and communicate in writing played a great role in my success beyond Gettysburg. And Fredrickson was as intense and passionate as I was about my athletics. He was that passionate about his teaching of literature and composition. And he pushed me very hard, and I think he got the best out of me. And I actually did teach for quite a bit after my years getting out of Gettysburg. So, again, the experience is just not an athletic experience. It's everything that Gettysburg gave me in terms of getting out of my comfort zone and being challenged by other people. So the bottom line is, I take that now, and I've been coaching for 40 years, football and lacrosse. Gave up football a little while back, just lacrosse, and as you've seen, I've been fortunate to have some success. But I do say that one of the greatest roles I have is to influence young people and try to give them perspective and tools to fight with to be successful in the future. And I can tell you to a T, the stories that I tell you here tonight and many, many others, the Joe Dinoli stories, so forth and so on, I pass them on to the kids that I coach. And the fortunate thing is, of course, now I've been doing so long, I have guys now who have played for me now to go out, and now they have families and they have kids of their own, and they will come back and they will pass on the same stories. So that Gettysburg legacy lives on. Very appreciative. Thank you again for all being here. Absolutely thrilled. Thank you very much.